Dear listeners, you're tuned into the phone-in program Hearts and Needs. We'll be having a conversation with our next dear caller. Please stay with us. Hello, welcome. How can I assist you? I hope your day is going well.
Thank you so much for your kindness and for taking the time to speak with me.
My pleasure. Please go ahead.
Dr. Ritvoo, I have a few questions about my relationship with my husband. I'm feeling a bit uncertain and confused, and I wanted to discuss it with you. If you could kindly guide me, I'd really appreciate it.
I'm here for you with all my heart. How old are you both, dear?
I'm 43 years old, and my husband is 49.
How long have you been married?
We got married 17 years ago. My husband grew up in Europe, and I migrated to Europe 16 years ago after our marriage.
Do you have children?
Yes, we have 2 children, a 14-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter.
What are your fields of study and professions?
My husband studied mechanical engineering in Europe, and he works for a very well-known German company. In terms of income and such, his level is quite high. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the degree I earned in Iran here because of the difficulties with getting my credentials recognized. But I managed to take a course here, and now I run my own beauty salon where I work.
That's wonderful. Now, tell me, do you have any family or relatives there with you?
No, unfortunately, there's no one, not from my family, nor from my husband's family.
How often do you travel to Iran and back?
We go almost every year.
So all 4 of you go and return together?
Yes, you could say all 4 of us travel every year.
When you go there, do your relationships improve or worsen? I mean, when you go to Iran, do your relationships get better or worse?
Well, it was a bit tough in the beginning because he expected me to spend more time with him and his family, but we talked about it and agreed that each of us should have some time for ourselves and our own families. Now it's okay. I spend more time with my family, and he does the same. Of course, I also visit his family, and he visits mine.
How are the kids? Are they happy with this back and forth?
The kids were fine with it until a couple of years ago, but since 2 years ago, they don't really like traveling to Iran. My son didn't come with me this year at all, and my daughter was constantly complaining. She told me, "There's no way I'm coming with you next year," because she struggles with the language a bit. She doesn't want to speak Persian, and she doesn't really like the family culture there, like how they approach her, hug her, or kiss her. All the questions they ask her, she doesn't like that either. She really doesn't enjoy it much there.
That's understandable. Where do you both stand in your families? Are you the eldest, youngest?
I'm the eldest child. I have a younger brother who's 3 years younger than me. My husband is the 5th child out of 5 siblings.
So you're the eldest, and he's the youngest?
Yes.
All right. What's going on between you two, dear?
When I came here 16 years ago, as you know, migration is quite difficult. Fortunately, I was able to make progress with the language very quickly and integrate into society. I didn't have any issues with connecting with people. After I arrived, I already knew a bit before we got married because I had known my husband for about a year. He had come to Iran to visit his family, and that's when we met. We spent 2 months together there, and then he went back to Germany. A year later, he returned, and we got married. I had noticed that he had some anger and irritability issues, but during the engagement and early dating period, I don't know, maybe out of ignorance, I closed my eyes to those things and tried not to take them too seriously. After I came to Germany, those issues got worse. Since he was 16, he's been on his own. He came to Germany alone at 16 and has been independent ever since. He's faced a lot of hardships but has been very successful academically and professionally. He tends to see the world from a high place, like he looks down on people in a way.
I understand, and what you're saying makes sense in that context, but I'd like to offer some insight here. When life is tough on someone, they often get hurt in the process. It's not always true that hardships build a person. The type of hardship and the circumstances matter. So, sometimes, it brings a sense of superiority, which is actually a defense against feelings of inferiority and inadequacy that someone might have in a certain cultural context. Often, it comes with anger and irritability. That anger and irritability usually create distance, laying the groundwork for some anxiety, depression, and stress. So, it's understandable. Many people think that if they've struggled a lot and pulled themselves up, they're pure, clean, and strong, standing tall. But often, that's not the case. There are still wounds here and there. So, I'm not surprised if someone, let's say, at 16, comes to a new place or stands on their own at 16, works hard, and becomes self-made. But some parts of them get damaged. It's inevitable, especially in the context of their relationships. Also, the possibility you're pointing out or the perspective you have might be correct. Usually, when people manage to pull themselves out of the mud and stand clean and high up, they have that feeling. It's understandable. But that might be a reason for their success in their external life, like their career. However, their position as the youngest child also plays a role, creating a foundation for some anxiety and anger. In fact, irritability is often like pouring water on the fire of anxiety. So, what you're describing makes sense. How much of this is still ongoing now? How much does it affect you or the kids?
Yes, based on what you're saying and what I've been learning from your talks over the years, he's really worked on himself a lot. I can honestly say that if this used to happen 10 times a day, now it's down to maybe twice a month. He's gotten so much better. Also, he's gotten older now, and I've talked to him a lot. We've listened and read a lot, and we've tried to help him with this issue. But what I'm dealing with now, after all these years, is that no matter how much he's changed and improved, I feel different. I feel, as they say, cold, in a way.
That's clear, dear. When it comes to love, affection and love can turn into indifference. That's the unfortunate downside of anger. It's like it shuts you down.
Exactly, Dr. Ritvoo, that's how I feel. I really feel like I've frozen inside. Nothing he does, because he really tries hard to show me attention, he expresses his love and affection for me, and after all these years, he spends a lot of time with me and the kids, but none of it feels like it makes me happy anymore. I just feel like, somehow, whenever he's away, because his job involves a lot of travel outside of Europe, I feel so much better when he's not around.
Let's address a few things first. For one, how much of an age gap is there between you and your brother?
3 years. He was 3 years younger than me.
That creates a slight dynamic, but nothing too heavy. Second, look, dear, there was a time when he could, and had the power to, put pressure on you. And then, well, you're a smart and capable woman. You accounted for that. Now that he's gotten so much better, or, as you say, and let's use your example, I wanted to interrupt you earlier, but didn't. Someone who used to get angry 10 times a day, and now, if they get angry once or twice a month, you really should forgive them. No one can change more than that. We can't go from 10 to 0. There are still layers beyond our control that bring us from 10 to 5, 7, or 10, so it wouldn't be fair to expect more. On the other hand, dear, you're the eldest child, and the second is a boy, so there's a dynamic of sibling rivalry with your brother. That dynamic also affects your husband. Beyond all that, you've entered a midlife crisis. A midlife crisis brings a foundation of depression along with anger. That anger might be directed at yourself or at him, and it might not even turn into irritability. You're experiencing that too. What you're telling me, based on what you've described about him, means, bury the past, forget the past. You're telling me, I don't have that feeling anymore. I'm frozen. I'm cold. I completely understand you. But no one else is going to warm you up. You have 2 kids at very fragile and sensitive ages. Let's even assume you made a mistake in your marriage. Well, you're responsible for that mistake. If I made a mistake and hit your car, who should pay for the damage? What you're telling me, based on what I've gathered from you, leaves no hope for anyone. If I have a serious flaw, work on it, and improve this much, am I still indebted to someone? I admit I did wrong before, but we live in a world where we're not supposed to collect the bad things, we're supposed to bury them. Today, dear, when even our dearest loved ones pass away, we bury them and move on. Give yourself a chance, dear. You're in a midlife crisis. You're the eldest child. The second sibling after you is a boy, your brother. Your husband was an angry person, and unfortunately, he turned your love and affection into indifference, numbness, and lack of feeling. I'm not saying what you're feeling is unreal or that you shouldn't feel this way. No, I can understand that too. He's the youngest child. He's done his best as much as he could, and now you're saying, he's attentive to me, he spends time with me and the kids, he shows affection and love. Bury the past, dear. Imagine if this man were someone you'd known for 5 years or met 2 years ago and he was like this, how would you look at him? Also, keep in mind, he has a competitive streak. If you push him away, he'll spiral worse than you and fall apart. So, in my opinion, spend some time with the kids. Find ways to keep yourself occupied and engaged. I don't want to say anything that would hurt anyone, and besides, it wouldn't be accurate or fair, because it's not. The profession you're in is a hub for reports, news, truths, lies, and gossip. You know, that kind of work environment comes with its own games. People act differently there, lie differently, pretend and put on facades, report things differently, and it can throw you off, dear. That's the kind of environment it is. I understand that you're dealing with that from morning to evening, but with 2 kids at this age, and a husband you've described this way, even if I accept that he shot you with an arrow years ago and now, after 10 years, you're dying from it, I get that. In my therapy work with couples, I've often seen why they want to separate now, and then I realize that 7 years ago or 11 years ago, this person took a bullet, got shot, started bleeding, and now their blood has run out. I understand you. I also understand your midlife crisis, dear. Considering your kids, your situation, and living in a country like Germany, when you put all this together, you'll see, be a little patient, see what you can do, help yourself a bit, and don't keep revisiting the past. Don't make it bigger than it is. Look at the positive aspects that exist and what you can build from here on. I have to tell you this. If you separate, the kids will fall apart, and that man will turn back into what he was before, or worse. And there's no one waiting for you out there. No one.
Yes, I mean, there are times in life, dear, when we don't even have the right to throw away food if we don't have anything else and we die of hunger. If I were hungry, if I wouldn't die, I'd say I don't like this food, I don't want it.
So, take it slow.
Yes, please go ahead. I have a question about the relationship between my 2 kids and their father.
Please, go ahead.
The thing is, my kids, first of all, focus so much on their father, and they really want to make him happy in everything they do. There's no way they'd ever disagree with him, even if they have an opinion that's different from his. I know that's how they really feel, but they act in a way, and ultimately behave in a way, that ensures they gain his approval. They want to make their father very happy.
Let's pause right there. Look, dear, studies in the US show that more than cars, more than money, and more than boyfriends or girlfriends, young Americans want their parents' approval. So, this isn't surprising at all. What I'm trying to tell you is that maybe your kids are doing this to an extreme, or it seems that way to you. I'm not focusing on that. Whether it's because of your husband's psychological traits, or yours, or the kids, we can talk about that a bit, but it's not a bad thing at all. Also, look, dear, the more kids love their father or mother, or see them as important, or as a role model, the healthier they are. The core issue here is identification, mirroring. If you listen to my CD on the characteristics of a healthy person is someone who has properly identified, this girl with her mother, this boy with his father. In your case, it's a boy and a girl, but they can mimic each other. Now, the fact that they want to gain his approval, as long as the father is fair and kind, what could be better than that, dear? Someone has expectations of them that push them toward growth and progress, but because of his kindness, he encourages them, not punishes them.
That's why, for example, I'll definitely share a specific case with you. For instance, my husband always believes that after a certain time, the kids should go to their rooms. They don't have to sleep, but it's better for them to be in their rooms because, for example, he wants to spend an hour or 2 alone with me at night.
Do you remember where he grew up?
Yes, well, where did he grow up? My husband grew up in Germany.
Yes, that's the German way, dear. Look, why did fascism and Nazism even emerge there? Why did the idea of obeying a leader drag people into bloodshed, killing 60 million people? Why is it that when a German girl married an Iranian boy and came to Iran, she stayed longer than any other foreigner? We had a study at the University of Tehran. It was a surface-level study, but it gave some insight. In 1991 or 1993, American girls who came to Iran and got married would go back after the first year because they couldn't handle Iranian family and society. But that percentage wasn't even close to 20% for German girls. I don't know about other groups because we only compared these two. Why? Because a German girl is somewhat raised with a system of do's and don'ts, a family structure based not on order, but often on force and oppression. That culture, why are those people more hardworking than any other society? Why are they, in some areas, more disciplined than the rest of Europe? Why did they, in a way, contribute to World War I or II? Why are they now the greatest economic power in Europe?
Yes.
All of this shows that you're dealing with someone who grew up in Germany, and there, you should expect a bit more order and structure than might be reasonable. You're telling me it's not right, and I agree with you. There needs to be flexibility and freedom. So, your husband has that trait. Let me repeat my point. If you tell me this isn't right for raising and educating a person, I can agree with you. I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem appropriate. But that's very different from understanding where it comes from and why, dear. That's why, also, keep in mind, that society is somewhat patriarchal. It's not like France, Spain, or Italy. That system, that inclination, ties into why Nietzsche wrote Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and why someone like Talcott Parsons, the head of the sociology department at Harvard, believed the biggest issue in identification for kids is power. Generally, kids are more drawn to that side, and your husband, clearly, because he's German in a sense, not because he's Iranian, but because he's German. Second, because he's successful in his job and career. And third, because of the advantages he has over you in terms of stability and other abilities. The kids see him as their role model. For your son, that's very, very good and beneficial. For your daughter, if you nurture her with love, kindness, and what we might call true femininity as she grows, there's no reason to worry. Don't see it as something bad or negative.
Of course, sorry, I wanted to ask, could this cause any harm to the kids? Because I know they don't really like it. For example, at 9 p.m. not too early, but around 9 p.m. he says, you should go upstairs, play together or do something, read a book, sleep whenever you want, but leave the room where your mom and I are because we want to watch a movie that's not appropriate for your age. The kids, of course, accept it easily, but I know they don't really like it.
Let me tell you something, and I'll interrupt you again, dear. Why am I getting a bit worried about you? Kids prefer it when their parents do this rather than saying, sit here and listen to our lectures. Believe me, if you ask 10-14-year-olds, son, do you want to sit here shamelessly, watch our movie, listen to our repetitive, empty, unrealistic lectures, or go to your room, talk with your sister, do whatever you want? I assure you, 9 out of 10 will leave, dear. This isn't something to worry about. It's you who's looking for, shall we say, followers, devotees, leaders, or mourners to surround you, constantly playing the motherly role, trying to impose your will on your husband a bit?
No, you're right, of course. Look, I feel it myself, or my friends tell me, you're showing too many unnecessary sensitivities, and there's no reason to be this worried, but I'm always worried.
No, let it go. You won't find a better partner than this, nor a better family life. Don't worry about this issue either. Let them go. You're lucky that your kids, fortunately, have a father who gives them what they want and what's right for them. I still stand by my point about order and structure. Beyond a certain point, as you've seen, I define order as everything being in its place and in the right amount. A lot of this isn't order, it's oppression, it's force. I understand that, dear. But I want to tell you that, given the reality of where you are in Germany, let me ask you this. Don't you think this kind of perspective helps your children adapt more easily in a German environment, where it's a society based on hierarchy? When I was in Germany a few times, I could completely sense the difference compared to Sweden, even though I don't speak German or Swedish. You could totally feel that this is a different country. The relationships are different, and the expectations are different.
Yes.
So, no. With this husband and the life and everything you have, be happy and content. I'm not saying to let go of it. Not at all. Join him, in fact. Forget the past that wasn't good. The changes he's made, which have been positive and desirable, just wait. Let him hear my words. Maybe he'll even send me a check or something since you mentioned it.
Definitely. If he's going to listen to anyone, it'll be you.
Of course. Look, what a good man he is. And here you are. Anyway, I'm glad I got to talk with you. Thank you so much for your kindness. Stay well, and take care.
You too, take care. Goodbye.